American Christian Missionary Society was the first missionary organization associated with the Restoration movement. Prior to the establishment of the American Christian Missionary Society, Alexander Campbell had actively opposed missionary societies on the basis that they preempted the church's role in missions and served as a focus for division, insisting that the church itself should be the only missionary society. Alexander Campbell was a Scots-Irish immigrant who became an ordained minister in the United States and joined his father Thomas Campbell as a leader of a reform effort that is historically known as the Restoration movement, and by some as the Stone Campbell movement. It resulted in the development of non-denominational Christian churches, which stressed reliance on Scripture and few essentials. Examples of such missionary societies were the American Board of Commissioners for Foreign Missions, American Missionary Association, American Home Mission Society, and the American Baptist Home Mission Society. This opposition was reflected in his writings in the Christian Baptist. Over time, Campbell came to encourage greater cooperation between congregations and used his later journal The Millennial Harbinger to advance that view. The American Christian Missionary Society was formed in October 1849. A representative was sent to Liberia in 1854 and to Jamaica in 1858. But for various reasons, both efforts were short-lived. Work in Jamaica and Liberia was later taken up by the Christian Women's Board of Missions. The ACMS made a decision in 1863 to support the Union during the American Civil War. Controversy over that and other issues, coupled with the war's economic and social disruption, almost led to the collapse of the American Christian Missionary Society. Over a period of more than a century, many thousands of American missionaries went to China and lived among the Chinese. As early as 1870 there were 200 missionaries in China sent by American societies. In 1900 there were 1,000, and by the 1930s more than 3,000. Many Americans today will ask the question, what justification was there for Americans going to China and telling her people what to believe and learn? The answer lies in the missionaries' belief that they should offer to other peoples the elements in Western civilization that they valued for themselves. John and Betty Stam were not the first American missionaries to find their way to this isolated community of people in China, but they were the first to settle there as a family. Their first child, newborn Helen Priscilla, beautiful with blue eyes, innocent face, and curly hair, gladdened the hearts of the young couple. A rented shop front on a stone-flagged street served as their home and preaching chapel as well. John Stam was born in 1907 in Paterson, and Betty Scott Stam was born in 1906 in Albion. They met each other at Moody Bible Institute, where both felt God's leading to China. Betty went to China in 1931 as a missionary of the China Inland Mission. John sailed to China the next year also as a missionary, and was stationed in a different region from Betty's. A year later, the two married on October 25, 1933. Betty Scott, daughter of Presbyterian missionaries to China, graduated from Moody Bible Institute in 1931. She had already accepted the call of God to service with the China Inland Mission. The bond she felt with John Stam, whom she had met at a prayer meeting for China, and their mutual decision to serve Christ in the middle of a dangerous civil war, did not hold her back. When she was assigned to a mission station in the interior, she left for China. She wrote, "When we consecrate ourselves to God, we think we are making a great sacrifice, and doing lots for Him, when really we are only letting go some little bitsy trinkets we have been grabbing. And when our hands are empty, He fills them with His treasures." John had already demonstrated remarkable facility in speaking Chinese. Fresh from language school in Anking, he had attended a spiritual life conference led by Dr. James Graham for Chinese believers. Listening intently, John took careful notes. Immediately afterwards, with surprising effectiveness, the new missionary reproduced these messages in Chinese at a summer conference in nearby Sakang. Now, however, he was married and wholly on his own for the first time on the mission field. In November 1934, John and Betty moved to their mission station at Singta in Anhui Province with their 3-month-old daughter, Helen. It was a bleak December day in brick-walled Singta in South Anhui, China, when rumors began to sift through of a possible bandit attack on the city. Farther to the south, the muddied waters of the mighty Yangtze rolled through Wau, past Nanking, Zhangjiang and Tianjin to stain the blue waters of the Pacific. But no echo of the world's commerce ruffled the secluded city of Singta this day in 1934. Hidden like a jewel in the heart of rugged natural beauty, Singta was accessible to the outside world only by stone paths cut through the mountains. It was a surprise to everyone when the town magistrate appeared at the missionaries' door only 3 months later to warn them of the approach of communist troops, but it was too late. Before the Stam family could get out, the troops got in. John was taken first, bound and pleading for the safety of his wife and child. Soon the troops returned for them. That night in jail, the baby cried. When guards threatened to kill her, an older Chinese man, also a prisoner, intervened. Guards asked if he were so bold as to die for the foreign baby. He assented. The man was hacked to death on the spot. That night Stam was ordered to write to mission leaders, demanding a $20,000 ransom. He concluded the note, fully aware that ransoms are never paid. The Lord bless and guide you. As for us, may God be glorified, whether by life or by death. The next day soldiers marched the Stams to the nearby town of Maoshio, where they were placed in the office of the local postmaster, who asked where they were going. By this time Stam must have known the soldiers' intentions, for he replied, I don't know where they are going, but we are going to heaven. The next morning, on December 8, 1934, the Stams were led to their execution. A local Christian doctor approached the soldiers to plead mercy for the missionaries. He was threatened, and John then pleaded for the doctor. The communist leader had heard enough. He ordered John to kneel, and with the flash of a sword decapitated the young missionary. Betty fell on her husband's body, and the sword fell again. A Chinese evangelist, Dr. Lo, found the daughter of John and Betty Stam wrapped in a sleeping bag, with a change of clothes and money pinned to her diaper. Her mother Betty, during her sleepless last night, had done her best to comfort and care for the child she knew she was leaving behind. Dr. Lo concealed the child in a rice basket and eventually brought Helen to her grandparents. Helen became a teacher and raised a family in the eastern United States. In response to news of the Stams' deaths, several hundred new missionary recruits volunteered for service. The Chinese church went underground for many years. When the coffins were finally delivered to the missionary hospital in Wau, the heavy coffin lids were lifted to reveal the bodies, lying on their backs, modestly clothed in their underwear, just as they had trod the streets of Singta a month and a half before. Each casket contained probably 100 pounds of lime. The bodies, wrapped in clean, white cotton sheeting, were preserved in good condition. Apart from deep rope bruises on John's wrists, there was no evidence of mutilation or abuse. John's straight, aquiline nose and jutting chin were tilted in his customary posture of candor and open friendliness. His lips were parted in an expectant smile. One could easily believe that when the dagger struck, tearing a savage hole in the front of his throat, that he saw beyond his assassin to the angel hosts at the portals of heaven. Certainly there was no sign of fear or terror, leading to conclude that the attack was sudden, and death almost immediate. With Betty it was somewhat different. On her face serenity was blended with terror and consternation. Obviously she had witnessed what happened to her husband. But in the same split second a heavy sword swung across her neck from behind, almost severing head from body. Even here Lo had succeeded in sewing the head back on again so that it appeared almost natural. Their bodies lie buried in a little Christian cemetery on a quiet hillside in the Rice Bowl city of Wau. Thank you for watching Death Row.